First, arguably the biggest goal of the progressive left in Canada, the US, and the UK is to expand the scope of government. In Canada, that manifests with entering into, well, they were formerly private sector areas with programs like national daycare, dental care, pharmacare, along with other programs that resulted in a massive increase in the number of federal government workers, for example, up 40% under the Liberals. And that doesn't include, by the way, the record number of consultants hired. So here's a quick question. As a taxpayer, what did you get for that? Huge increase in the cost of government. Can't believe that many would say they got better or more efficient services. But then again, the goal, you have to understand this, was never to get more efficiency. It was to expand the scope of government. So no surprise, as numerous Auditor General reports have found, efficiency hasn't improved. I mean, there's lots of examples. I mean, maybe the most infamous one from the last year is ArriveCan. But you also experience passport delays to the massive cost overruns of the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Let me be clear. I am not talking about the avalanche of examples of cronyism and conflicts of interest. I'm talking about straightforward inefficiency, and we're looking for effective execution. For example, we have a port system that ranked near the worst in the world in terms of efficiency, with our largest port, Vancouver, ranking, I think it was 356th, and Montreal ranked 348th out of 372 for efficiency. And you know what? Government's done nothing meaningful about it. We have a healthcare system that had at least 74,677 Canadians die waiting for surgery or diagnostic scans since 2018. Our healthcare system ranks last among 31 developed nations when it comes to seeing a specialist after referral, despite the massive increases in funding. As Will Rogers said, it costs 10 times more to govern than it used to, and we're not governed 1/10 as good. Well, I'm sure a lot of people would nod their head, and there's a lot of reasons, from the lack of measurable goals, the overall lack of accountability, the non-merit-based hiring. But somehow the inefficiency or the cronyism, mismanagement, cost overruns are not enough to discourage millions of Canadians from demanding more from government. They want them to do more, get involved in more areas of society. I mean, for some, I know, even mentioning this, I'm entering the world of the far right by suggesting that maybe government should hold off expanding into other areas of society until they prove they can do what's already on their plate, and whether it can prove they can do it more efficiently and more effectively. For some, including some members of the media, putting practicality before ideology is considered extreme. Let me ask you a quick question, though. Federal government is proposing a new high-speed rail line between Toronto and Quebec City. Would you bet $1,000 of your own money that the proposed new high-speed rail will be built on time and on budget? You know what? I wouldn't take that bet if I were you. I mean, the evidence suggests the real strength of government and governing politicians is making announcements and doing photo ops, because it's certainly not follow through and delivery. We're getting a great example right now with the much repeated promise by the federal government to build 3.89 million homes through 2030. But come on, both CMHC and the Parliamentary Budget Office, who are echoing what literally every person in the development business stated from the outset, there's absolutely no chance to achieve that goal. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's complex. The reasons are complex why government continually fails to achieve its stated goal, despite more funding and more people. But I'll go back still to the lack of accountability, lack of measurable goals, lack of merit-based hiring, which all play a significant role. And the key point for taxpayers to understand is that there's no evidence to suggest things are going to change. Even the proposed cutbacks now on government programs, we'll see if they manifest, but even if they did, they're not going to make that big a difference unless we change how we actually operate in government. That has to be the focus. As the old saying goes, if you try to do too much, you'll achieve too little.